Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Great. Good morning and welcome to the Future Fabrics Expo, to the Sustainable Angles 15th anniversary. Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you to the amazing team that has helped make this happen. Thank you to the exhibitors who are here showcasing. Thank you to our partners listed over there. Thank you all for being here. So I'm standing here with much gratitude and joy. Another year passed, and this Future Fabrics Expo promises to top the last one because we have more exhibitors than ever. So we have currently around 120, and that is a real moment for us because we started 15 years ago, but the first Future Fabrics Expo took place a year later, 2011, and we're going to celebrate that next year. But for now, this is the Sustainable Angles celebration here. And having all these exhibitors here means a lot to us, and I'll tell you why in a moment. So, it's been a long time coming, and I set up the Sustainable Angle in 2010 as a not-for-profit organization because back in 2010, raising awareness of the massive environmental problems caused by industries such as textiles and fashion seemed what most was needed. And note, this was 5 years before the Paris Climate Agreement was even reached. So importantly, not only did it seem at the time that most people were completely unaware of the environmental impact of the fashion industry, but even less so, were they aware of all the emerging textile solutions that I came across while researching for my master's in sustainable agriculture and rural development. And those nascent solutions were screaming to be shown to designers, to creatives, to fashion professionals, and they needed to be platformed. And crucially, it needed to be accompanied by educational information to increase the understanding of what and why they had to be the materials of choice for the future. And this has continued until today, with the Sustainable Angle supporting the educational output and information displayed at the Future Fabrics Expo. Meaning the posters that you see, the materials cards attached to the thousands of fabrics in the curated textiles area in Space One, and of course the seminar series where we amplify and explain in more detail those solutions. So allow me to reflect a little bit. So 15 years ago, I did not expect that in 2025, today, the fashion industry's negative impacts would still be increasing instead of decreasing, and annual production volumes would continue to rise. All this when the science could not be more clear about industry's impact on heating the climate, especially from industries like fashion producing clothing, with more than half of it made of synthetics, basically plastic, and therefore contributing to greenhouse emissions rising. Global fiber production increased by a record 7% in 2023 to 124 million tons. I think you should see that there. Such growth is wiping out incremental gains from sustainability projects and initiatives. Clearly, the majority of fashion brands are not reducing emissions in line with the 1.5 degrees pathway set out under the Paris Climate Agreement. Worse still, 2024 was also the first year that average temperature increases breached the 1.5 degrees threshold. Add to that the headwinds from the US administration, plus a rollback on the regulatory side in the EU, and so you could think it is rather unfortunate to have TSA's 15th anniversary be in 2025. And it's really not the best to celebrate it, we have to say, especially when you consider that in 5 years' time, in 2030, industry's overall greenhouse gas emissions should be reduced by about 45%, and we are clearly not on track. So depressing a bit, that this decade will most likely go down as the hottest decade rather than decisive decade, as we all hoped it would become in 2020, which I remember very well. We held a fantastic Future Fabrics Expo, not here, it was still in a smaller venue, and we were all very hopeful, but it is not like that right now. So, while that could all make us feel downbeat, and apparently this is the prevailing sentiment amongst industry professionals working in sustainability in fashion over the last few months, I can't help but not feeling that way, not feeling downbeat. And why? Because working on a daily basis with innovative companies in the supply chain shows that the solutions do exist. It demonstrates the ingenuity of suppliers, the pioneers at work who are creating the materials revolution. And these are the companies that are in the Future Fabrics Expo. And that makes us upbeat, because actually, these are the pioneers that are creating the materials revolution. This hopefully gives you also the feeling that you are upbeat when you're leaving today. Future Fabrics Expo really is the platform and showcase for sustainably produced innovative materials. Diversified fiber basket is what we very much hope will result from all this. Regenerative agriculture, circular systems, regenerative by design. We really hope you get the inspiration here today. It should hopefully give you much needed agency to push internally for change, to lead and be armed with solutions when you leave the expo. Because what's been done so far has not really worked, undoubtedly been too slow. It seems that what this incredible community of dedicated change makers in the supply chain, the sustainability consultants, CSR professionals, etc., what we have to do better and more is stating the positives for business, from a business perspective, economic benefits that come with the changes that we are asking for. So really what we have to focus on now is we must change the narrative, meaning we need to spell out the economic upsides from more sustainable materials, innovative technologies, specifically to those that we work with who are not looking through this from a sustainability lens. For example, more sustainable colorization innovations, also here today, delivering significant water and energy reductions of up to 90%, are becoming very attractive for most businesses, with water bills projected to rise by double digits over the next few years till 2030 and onward, which will only get worse with projected droughts due to climate change. Positive knock-on effects for the overall business, such as reduced manufacturing time, need to be highlighted more and communicated better. Another example for the bottom line, upside of this, is reducing waste with AI tools, cutting overproduction. Of course, hugely beneficial for the environment, but in addition, it can boost absolute full price sell-through, surely something that every CFO would like to hear. But back to the future and my theme of turning 15. Given that we are not on track with targets for Paris Climate Agreement, the next 5 years, fashion really can play a very important role, and it should really play that role. It has the potential to be a climate solution, and what we want to see, a renewed effort to reduce emissions. We want to see fashion really endorse and use fashion's more sustainable farming methods for cotton, for example, based on organic and regenerative principles that lower not only CO2 emissions, but make farms more resilient in the face of climate change, given especially the warming that is being forecast, especially in the global south. Or, for example, using innovations based on seaweed for materials as alternatives to fossil fuel-based materials, which can absorb substantial amounts of CO2. But few industries can be exponential with their climate solutions like fashion possibly can. We have to realize that fashion can be a superpower, and this is what we need to action. If this fashion industry uses responsibly and sustainably produced materials and uses the creativity that is at the core of the fashion industry, we can reach every person wearing clothing. We can make this a key industry to effect lifestyle changes of the wider population. So its message must be to make it aspirational to take action, desirable to be a responsible citizen, and that really can grow exponentially. It can go viral. Ultimately, this will give this fashion industry the license to operate in a climate crisis. To close and encourage you to be proactive with the solutions showcased at Future Fabrics Expo, realize you have agency. And I want to finish by quoting Captain Paul Watson. Many of you will know from the NGO Sea Shepherd, whose mission is to protect sea wildlife, in particular whales, which got him to be jailed for 5 months in Greenland earlier this year, and who spoke last month at the Climate Change Now conference after being finally released. So he says, don't get depressed or pessimistic of what the future will look like, because you have no power over the future. But you have absolute power over the present, and what you do in the present will define what the future will be. Don't think how the future will be bad, but think how to make things good now. So with that, I hand over quickly to my colleague Amanda Johnson, who many of you know, Chief Design Officer, and then we carry on with Viola Jordan from Sizzle, who's going to be our keynote. Thank you.
Morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. Can I just have a quick show of hands? How many of you, because I can see familiar faces, how many of you are first-timers? Whoa, again, thank you so much and welcome again. And it always feels really, really good to see first-timers to Future Fabrics Expo. As Nina said, we're celebrating 15 years of the Sustainable Angle, and we couldn't be more proud or more excited to bring to you, as Nina mentioned, for all the critical reasons she just outlined, that this feeling like we drive change, that this is what motivates us, energizes us, excites us, and inspires us, and we hope you feel that too. I'm sure you will. Before we opened, I just did a guided tour, and actually, as I was doing it and walking around after we finished setting up last night, I realized how overwhelming the sheer volume of innovation, suppliers, best practice across every single fiber category. And I was actually getting excited myself again, even though I was here till 9 o'clock last night setting it up. And I just thought, I hope that translates. And I felt it again when our exhibitors turned up towards the end of the day, and the energy in the room just went like this. It's the most, I mean, hairs on the back of my neck right now, just remembering it. It's the most extraordinary feeling. We can do what we do, and we do it with passion, and we do it with energy. And as Nina said, I cannot thank the Sustainable Angle team enough. They are the most incredible bunch of world-beating, world-changing women, all completely dedicated. But it's all of our contributors, all of our suppliers, many of whom we've been working with for ages, but we've welcomed a whole new host. As Nina said, it's actually well over 120 suppliers when you count the incredible innovations. So I am just charged up, you can probably tell, talking too fast, a little bit too excited, but so happy to welcome you all, and I hope you will get stuck in and become the agents for change that Nina mentioned. Welcome, thank you very, very much.